And for more the 247th anniversary of the United States, President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, joins me via Zoom from Washington, D.C. Good to have you join us.
Thank you.
So 247 years after the Declaration of Independence, would you say that America is a true reflection of that declaration in 1776?
I think in some ways it's a better reflection because I think you know, the original declaration was at the time of slavery as well. So I think there's been considerably positive steps since then, and I think also it was like all ideas. I think they're ideal, but they're also very imperfect. I think we have still a long way to go to meet the ideals of both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution that followed, I think, 13 years later.
And what for you is the biggest threat to America's independence today?
Well, the biggest threat isn't external. We tend to look outside for threats. I think the biggest threat is internal. And I think that I think our own democracy is at threat right now. I think it's a fairly broad opinion. Some would disagree with that, but I think it's at threat. And I think it's a threat because, one, a lack of education, two, a greater division of wealth, which is putting more and more pressure on the middle class and the lower economic classes as well. And I think generally participation in the system as it was designed is less. The electoral system is imperfect. I'm not going to say that it's bad. It's just simply there needs to be a lot of improvement. The more and more people are alienated outside, fewer people have control of the system. I think the New York Times last year noted that basically our elections are dependent on 800 people, the donations of 800 of the richest people in the country. If your citizens aren't participating in building that democracy, then the democracy is at risk.
And do you think that America is doing enough to address these internal challenges you have mentioned, as it is doing, to address the external threats? For example, America has paid a lot of attention to Russia and its influence on its elections, to China, to terrorist groups outside of America, whereas people will say, look, they're also homegrown terrorists within the U.S. Is America dealing with internal threats as much as it is dealing with external threats?
I think that there isn't a collective will or a common plan to address the problems within, and I think that's easy to say because you simply see the divisions of the parties, the divisions on opinions and so forth. We tend to see threats from the outside, but I think we need to be far more introspective. I would hope that July 4th, which is probably our most extroverted holiday of all, would be a period of reflection. It probably won't, but because of the fireworks, the celebrations, and the family barbecues. But I think we really need to become a far more reflective and a far more introspective society as to how we improve. I think the United States becomes stronger in the world if our own principles and democracy are seen as stronger. I think that right now, there's a lot of valid criticism of what's going on in the United States. There's a lot of reasons to praise the United States, but I think there's also, it's clearly a very imperfect society, like all societies. But I think there needs to be a lot of improvement very quickly.
And we'll see how the U.S. continues to battle most of these issues, or some of these issues, along with its influence in the world. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always. President Emeritus, Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes.
Thank you for the honor. Thank you.